Good morning. Would you like to start us off?
Absolutely.
Good morning. Have a little energy.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Good. We have had so many exciting things going on here on the campus. I don't know how many of y'all know Kristen Scott. She's our journalism yearbook.
Yes.
Creative writing. She teaches a variety of things. She was honored as a rising star for the Journalism Education Association, which is a national recognition. And I just found out yesterday she's going to be interviewed for Channel 22, the AISD channel, so look for that. They haven't done the interview yet. Also, our music production class is going to be performing at South by EDU on Wednesday the 14th, I believe that's the 14th. From 2 to 8, it's free to the public. So on that Wednesday, you can come in for free. AISD will have a booth. They've been able to set up 10 performances, and we were chosen for one of them. So we're really excited to be able to promote our program. Also, Kara Crouch, amazing 6th grade social studies teacher, is our Teacher of the Year. That is selected by her colleagues here on campus, so we're really excited about that. She is well deserved of that honor. And yesterday, day before yesterday, we received the news that Mr. Schwab won a grant that he wrote for Kinder Morgan to create a sound booth, a sound recording booth in our library, in one of the workrooms in our library. We're currently using it as a storage facility, so that we'll be able to, our whole goal is to do this music video production, really get the kids into it. We'll be able to do recordings in their students, teachers with their flip lessons. So, really excited about that as well. What else incredible is happening that I forgot? Oh my gosh. Theater did Into the Woods, and I know I'm a little prejudiced, but I think it was better than the movie. It was really good. And they just went to UIL One Act, and they don't do like the best in show for one act. They do individual critiques, but they do awards. So we got a bronze for actress, and I believe that, I'm not going to say the names because I can't remember who won. We got a silver for actor, and then we also got a gold. Yeah. Sophie Nifty got the bronze, but that's the only name I remember.
True Fan got silver.
I'm sorry, what?
True Fan.
True Fan, that's right. He played Dad.
Winfield Pot got gold.
Well,
No?
yes, but who else? We also got stage managing, stage directing.
That I don't know.
We got a gold for stage directing too. So our stage manager got that. So that was really exciting stuff. And band and orchestra are preparing for UIL, so they've got all of their big rehearsals going on right now. You're going to talk about scheduling? Cool. All right. Any questions?
Can I say the math counts team got to state?
Yes! Woo! Math counts, yay!
And Science Olympiad folks went and like kicked some boots. So
They
I don't
always
remember
do.
all the details, but they
Yeah.
did some amazing stuff.
Yeah, and that was just one of their competitions. They still have more to come. Math Council have more to come. Yeah, I was a math nerd. I went to competitions even in high school, so. All right, thank you. Of course I'm not.
All right, take it away.
All right, excellent. So,
Oh, wait.
whoa!
One other thing, I apologize. So we went to our budget meeting 2 weeks ago, and the good news is we're not being cut. Funding appears to remain stable, and in fact, because our numbers are increasing on our academy side, we received 2 extra teachers at the start of the year. We get to keep those teachers for next year, and we're even getting 2 additional teachers and an additional hall monitor, security guard. So we are really excited about that. And we tried very hard not to do the happy dance when we were at the meeting because other people were being cut. So
That would just be rude.
it would be rude. We did it anyway, but we're one of the few schools that continues, that our numbers are increasing. Most of the middle schools are seeing a decrease in numbers, so.
Good, very good.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just check. Yeah, right. Let's see, so in Magnet World, we are, of course, right in the middle of trying to get all of these applications taken care of. We're at about 750, and they're, whew, yeah. And I will say this, though, another kudos to Mr. Schwab. He has worked really hard to computerize all of the stuff other than scoring essays. He has computerized so that we just have to put in raw data, and then the computer will figure it all out for us. Instead of sitting there with the rubric and going, okay, this was the scale score, so, okay, they get 2 points, all right, let's see,
So all that was done manually before?
Yes. Yeah, and he's, he's wonderful and very entertaining.
No, but
He,
y'all want to throw him a party.
Yeah, I know, we really need to, but he recruited a small group to work with him as they worked out all the kinks on Tuesday after school. And there was a little yelling and banging, but yesterday there was less yelling and banging. So clearly the kinks are getting worked out, and that's going to decrease the man hours spent to do stuff tremendously. Yeah, people. So sorry, you're right. People hours. So we're excited about that. I'll just go ahead and say, you know, you guys that have been here throughout the year know that one of our focuses and efforts this year has been to increase the number of kiddos we have from our underrepresented elementary schools. And that's been our way of, yeah, thank you. I was about to do that a minute ago, but, and I'll get this one too.
You might want to reintroduce that, I'm not sure everyone.
Yeah, no, I see some new faces, and that's awesome. So we recognized, actually I have to give credit to Ms. Lowe. She basically said, all right, here's something for you to work on this year, Diane. I said, all right. I agree, and that is the fact that those of you who read the newspaper article saw it there as well, but we do have, we could certainly be a lot more diverse as far as our magnet kiddos go. So the first thing that we saw as something we could do to chip away at that is to really kind of focus on our underrepresented elementary schools. Because as you may or may not know, ethnicity is not a part of the application. So it's not like you're going through an application and you know that this is a Hispanic child. You don't know that. We're literally looking at the essays and the numbers and plug it all in. It's almost as objective as you can get as far as what you take into account. So we started at the beginning of the year talking about how we could reach out to our underrepresented elementary schools. We got data for the last 5 years of how many kiddos we have from each elementary school, and used that to kind of sort and figure out which ones are the ones that we either don't have any kids from or don't have many kids from. Many being 2 or less, by the way. So we took that, and we had a team of teachers that was really interested in working on that, and we decided that one of the things we could do that LOS has also done is to have like an application/writing workshop sort of thing for kids at our underrepresented schools. Because, I mean, you know, there are a lot of kids who have a ton of support at home, and who have a ton of support by teachers, because the teachers have been telling them, and their parents have been telling them from this high that they are absolutely amazing and are straight A kids, and they are going to rock and roll, and they're going to be doctors, and they're going to do all these wonderful things. And they also know exactly how to help support that. They know what they need to do to help their kids get there. There's some kids that don't have that. So our goal was to, you know, try to figure out what is it that we can do to try to help kids have that don't naturally. So that was one thing we came up with. And we also, I took that data and then looked at, we have vertical teams in AISD, so all the schools that lead to Eastside Memorial High School, that's a vertical team. All the schools that lead to McCallum High School, that's a vertical team. So we decided that it made sense to kind of organize by vertical team. And actually it was a principal at Cook Elementary that was the, really it was her idea. I can't take credit for it. She was like, well, we'll host a night for our whole vertical team. And I was like, brilliant. So anyway, so that's kind of how we went about trying to attack it. We got started a little late with the actual doing of things. So we actually only managed to have one night like that. But we now have the foundation to have many, many more next year. And teachers have a better idea of exactly what we need to do that night, et cetera, et cetera. So we're really excited about next year already. Then in addition to that, just so you guys know, our, I don't know, perceptions don't change, in my opinion, much of any way other than one conversation at a time. If you and I have a conversation and you thought one thing about Keeling Middle School and we have a conversation that changes that in your mind, then that I think is really a change. You can hear as many general things as you might hear out there, but those don't have the impact that one conversation at a time has. There has been a perception of elitism. Y'all have heard that word thrown around out there in relation to the whole magnet program thing. And we've worked really hard, we being especially myself and Ms. Northcutt at Fulmore, to build relationships at every single elementary school. And especially logged in the back of our minds, those who are underrepresented in the magnet programs. Because we're not like big, scary, exclusionary people. We really aren't big, scary, exclusionary programs. But some folks think we are. And one of the biggest things we can do is one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time, try to start to change that perception. So that's something that we have also been very conscious of. So wow, that was probably way more than y'all wanted to know, but you know.
Well, and so that's another part of your effort, not just to go and have the nights
Right.
for the kids to help them with their writing, but to make relationships with every single counselors, with teachers who will encourage kids to apply, because that is viewed to be the issue, right? Not that great numbers of minority kids are applying and being rejected, but that they're not applying. That's perceived to be
Fewer are applying.
Right, because you can look and see the numbers that were of applications that you get from underrepresented schools, and have you concluded that those are not, I mean, that the applications come less often from those schools than from other schools?
that's data that's not as reliable, so it's
I
hard
see.
to
I
really
see.
make that statement based on data so far. But at the same time, the district has added EMAP, which right now, the way it exists, it just adds work for us. But it results in us getting more information, which is ultimately great.
So the Source Elementary School is not on the application either?
It is, but as far as having historical data, because it hasn't been as computerized up
Right,
until this
okay.
year, so it's in folders, in boxes,
Right.
in the closet, but not necessarily electronic so that we can actually do. Anyway, so okay.
Well, no, finish up,
Well, I was just gonna also say that, and I'll be quiet about this, but I was guessing, I don't know how many of y'all are here because you read the newspaper article, but just in case you are, and even if you're not, I figure this is good information for y'all to have. But just so you know, we actually had a meeting last week. There was Mr. Orpez, Edmund Orpez, and Stacia from LASA, Stacia Krzins, the LASA principal. And then from here, Ms. Lowe, me, Ms. Faley, our academy director, and then the same three people from Fulmore, and then GT district person and another district person. So we had a powwow that was actually initiated by Mr. Orpez to really start to kind of dig into this from the district level as well. Because the more I think about it, the more I look at things, the more I realize it is so much bigger than us. It is so much, I mean, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that there aren't things we can do, but I mean, it is so much bigger than us. You know, and I could talk way too long about the whole thing, and I don't want to do that because it's already a good ways in here and I've talked too much, but it's a big, huge issue that needs to be attacked from many, many different directions. And there are lots of great ideas out there, and also a lot of unknowns out there for us to work through and figure out. So I'll leave that at that and then see what your question is.
Well, I haven't read the article, but I'm fascinated now and feel like it's, you know. But you know, when you mentioned the idea about the workshops, I think that's a great idea, and I guess I was gonna ask if you need help with those. Because we had, which I hadn't thought of as workshops, but we did that like in our house on Saturday mornings with a group of kids from my son's school, from Discovery School,
Sweet.
and their one of their teachers would come. And I never saw anyone so excited about writing essays on Saturday mornings, but they would all sit around the table and do it together and then go in little places in the house and work on their essays. Nobody except for my son applied to Keeling because everybody was scared of it. But they applied to other schools and they all worked on it together, you know, just having that space to be able to do it. I mean, like you said, a lot of kids have a lot of support. I mean, that's a lot of support to be able to do that. But just to give other kids the opportunity to do that and have some help and have somebody look at it, I mean, I think that's really valuable. So if y'all need help when you do this next year, I'll help.
Very cool.
I think that's
Thank you.
an awesome thing that y'all are doing.
Thank you.
Write her name down.
You know, I know.
She knows
know who she is. So that just reminded me of one of the little moments where one of those goosebump moments. So it was really interesting. I've seen things that suggest that we've at least had some impact with the things that we have done. For one thing, the first testing round, I actually counted. The others I didn't count. But we have more Hispanic and African American kids. As far as, then this is purely anecdotal because I don't have numbers, I don't have anything on paper. But just looking around on testing days, the admissions test days, there was more diversity. There was more diversity this year, which made me very happy. And then there was one little moment that I'll tell you all about, and then I'll be quiet about this. on one of the testing days, so all the kids are in the cafeteria testing away with teachers, and some of the parents stick around and sit in the bleachers in the gym waiting for their kids. And I happened to be passing through, and one of the mothers hollered at me, she's like, come here, come here. So I went over and was like, hey, how you doing? And she said, she's like, I just wanted to be sure that you know that I really appreciate what you guys have done and are doing today to help our kids who are not English speakers in their home be taken care of and feel welcome here. We had Joe Garcia, our young scientist person, was there on the testing days for that reason. And she, the mother was like, she's like, you know, honestly, watching families come in was really a humbling experience. And I know what a challenge it is for my kid, and just, I don't know, like, it's just beautiful. And I felt so blessed that she decided to pull me aside and share that. And that she noticed it. And so anyway, it was a
Did you get her
feel-good
name?
moment. I know her name.
Give her name to the statesman so they can.
I know, right? Anyway, I'm sorry I took so much time.
It is really important, and I think it's really important that we all realize the need for advocacy from magnet parents at the district and in the community. Because, and those of you who read the article know, and those of you who did not read it will know once you read it, that there's a great need for this. And and I think it's important that we have things that we can say that are very positive about what's going on in magnets, like what Diane has just talked about the efforts pre-existing any article to make healing more diverse. And one statistic that I was amazed by that I think is really great that you shared with us a few months ago was the number of elementary schools that Healing draws from. How many elementary schools in the district?
There's 84.
And how many do we have students from?
Oh geez, I don't remember.
60-something. It was
but yeah.
60-something. So it was, you know, a good 3/4 of elementary schools, which I thought was fantastic. And obviously, a lot, you know, more effort needs to go into increasing that, but it's very important. So I think we all need to get out there and start making relationships with the Board of Trustees. This article came out on Monday. No accident, it was the same day that the board discussed equity and funding in the district. Magnet schools were discussed at the meeting. LASA in particular was discussed at the meeting. That will be rebroadcast on Saturday. I think it would be an eye-opener to watch it, and you can kind of see the dynamic and the things that might affect us. So I think we all need to up our game on being involved.
Is there any data on retention of these students from underrepresented schools?
I think the answer to any question about is there data?
That's a hard one. You know, not that I've looked at or compiled, but I guess I can really only speak for last year and this year, but I mean, the number of kids that leave our program is so small. That's definitely something to intentionally look at.
Yeah, there is a lot of effort. I mean, they identify kids who are having trouble and help them a lot. I tutored 1, 2 a couple years ago. I mean, there, particularly Jenna Martin, Sharon Roy. I mean, a lot of teachers are really involved with that. So that's something else that's important to say out there to people. Laura?
I'm trying to remember the name of the program at the high school level. It goes from young scientists to scholars, urban scholars. I think there has been data that they've done with urban scholars that there's a much less likely chance of those students to go on to college beyond, they've done data with, research trying to help make sure that kids who are, families that are, economically disadvantaged actually go through the whole system to get to college, to get to the point. Even kids who have graduated and are accepted to a college don't necessarily get there. So I think they've done that data like at the other end of, not necessarily appealing, but. So it just shows that it's harder and harder,
All right.
I'm sorry, I feel the need to say one more thing, and that is, I hope that, I get really frustrated with this whole conversation sometimes, because I feel like the real reason gets lost sometimes. And to me, the real reason to try and have more diversity is, a huge part of it is the more different people you have around you to learn with and from, the better. It just, sharing a project, accomplishing a project, working alongside somebody who comes from a completely different place from you is invaluable. We all do that, hopefully, throughout our entire life. But to give our kids that opportunity is huge. So that to me is at the heart of why diversity is important. It's not just about numbers, it's not just about, I don't know, I'll be.
Well, I think it's important to
but
know, for
that's-
everyone to know that we care deeply about that,
Yeah.
and we care deeply about equality of opportunity. Everyone should have an equal opportunity to come to Keeling and to Lhasa or wherever else.
If I could bring up a point, just looking at numbers, you take about 250 to 80 kids in the freshman class? Roughly? Under 300?
Yes.
Okay. You just said there's 84 elementary schools? So if every elementary school is represented, the most you have here is 3 kids from any school. That's not counting anybody from out of the district, homeschooling. I mean, I think the question is not, do you need to have more people coming specifically to Keeling? You need another Keeling. I mean, if the argument is we don't have enough of this to be spread to make it for everyone else, or for everyone, I'd agree. I mean, you only have so many slots, and if you're trying to get everyone involved, if this program, you really cherish this program that much, I mean, you guys, I mean, overall, the district, then there's only so many pegs you can fit in these holes. And if you really do want to have that much more representation for it, the answer is not just pull them from everywhere, but also have a bigger program.
I think it's really important what you just said, and that we should support increasing the number of seats in magnet programs in general for all, so that all qualified students can attend.
I just wanted to say, I want to give a big shout out to Mrs. Lowe, because I think what my personal opinion is that I don't feel like more people should be applying to magnets, to Keeling and Lhasa. Each school, each middle school, and each high school should be so good that you don't need to apply to a magnet unless you have a specific, unless you're crazy into certain things that we do here, right? So, and she is making the neighborhood, like people say, oh, more neighborhood kids should be applying to the magnet. No, more neighborhood kids should be feeling good about our neighborhood program. So I just think that I'm so thrilled that that's happening.
Yeah, that's also incredibly important, that it's not like if you don't get to go to a magnet, you're,
Right.
right.
That's why vouchers are.
Or you're not, in any way, yes, exactly, that there should be something for every kid.
Yeah.
And that every school, should offer
Every kid
something.
should get to go to a school that is special and worthy and provides an awesome education.
Exactly.
Even if they all do, the perception is at least that there's a couple in Austin that do that, and that it's a mad scramble to apply for them and only a few get in.
Right, that all
And
needs should be.
That's terrifying for 5th grade parents.
That all
having just gone
needs,
through
yeah,
that.
all needs should be met, and that they don't all need to be met at magnets.
Well, I think that is, and as you said, that's the emphasis there, because as you pointed out in the application, ethnicity isn't on there. It is an academic magnet. So if you want everyone to be able to apply to this academic thing, then it's got to start back here, not here at the application process. So
Right.
helping the application process is great. I agree. When I first saw that application, I thought, are you kidding me? It didn't take me this much time to college. But yeah, that's the end point. You need it back before.
Right, preparation.
So
So in a separate article that came out a couple of weeks ago, the district announced that they were going to start accepting out-of-district transfers. And I know the question was asked at the PF Blossom meeting if they knew whether that meant out-of-district kids would be applying for the magnet programs, and she said it was not clear at that time. It hadn't been clarified, and I wondered if it had been clarified since then.
My understanding, my understanding is that's for where you have room, right? So if there's room for that campus, that they would accept out of district. We've always accepted out of district, however, with the caveat that when the school year starts, you have to prove you're living within AISD boundaries.
Right, okay, but this is somewhat different, right? Like, they were saying if you live in Hayes.
Correct,
You can-
because we get funding for it, and with the overall numbers in the district of students going down, right? So we lose funding for that. Then now we're saying, instead of saying you have to live within AISD, if there's room at a campus, we will accept out-of-district transfers, but it won't crowd out people within the district.
But will those kids, can they apply for a magnet program and then compete with in-district kids for the magnet program?
Laura's trying to say something. Have you heard something different, Laura?
Stacia's answer was that her opinion, and it's not clear, right? Her
Right.
opinion is no, because you can never say that the next kid down is so far below them in the, in district who applied and didn't get in, that you could have the space for them. Because you have all these kids in the district
Correct.
who didn't get in. So she said, I would not.
That would be my interpretation of it. It's only for space available. And I would not consider a magnet program space available when we have 750 applications.
Okay, shall we move on to course selection?
Sure.
All right.
So, exciting news. Our kids will actually be able to select their electives for next year online. All right, yes, I know. And I hesitate to, don't write down any specific dates. Because.
Wait, you gave them to me yesterday, they're not set in stone?
Well, we haven't talked about them yet. I don't know, did you look over them? Did they look good?
They look great.
Okay, in that case, no, seriously, so we went to a training. We being Ms. Bailey and I went to a training last Thursday, to see how the whole online thing would work and to decide if it was feasible for us, hoping that it would be. And the answer is yes. So then we met yesterday to hammer out the timeline for everything, and that's what she was calling the principal's meeting. Jeez. So I shot anyway, we haven't had a chance to talk about it. But, so in a nutshell, in the next few weeks, teachers will be sharing with their kids in each core class all the information they ever wanted to know and more about all of the electives within that content area. So when your kid is sitting in science class, they will hear all about all of the science electives. Just to help them have a feel for what they're getting themselves into if they choose certain courses. Then in addition to that, my goal, let's see here. Yeah, my goal, oh Lord, that's Monday. My goal is that on Monday, we will have the choice sheets and course book posted online. They already exist. I just have to do my super nitpicky, oh, this is all caps, this is not. I've got to make it look a little prettier.
It's a holiday, by the way.
Yeah,
Monday's a holiday.
I know. We're here
Not for
though.
them.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here.
So, yeah, I know it is, but we'll still get it up there. Anyway, so that'll be online so that if you guys want to look together at home leading up to all of this, you can. The course book it's got a description of every single elective you can imagine, so that you and your kids can read more about them. Then, what we'll actually do is our counselors are going to schedule with certain departments, teachers, I'm not going to tell you which one, because they don't know yet. and actually go into classrooms and spend probably 30, 45 minutes actually walking your kids through the process of choosing their electives. Click, 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 click. Then your kids are going to bring home their choice sheet, which we still need. We still need it on paper because your kids are only going to click, click, click enough electives to fill out their schedule. So their top 4 picks are the ones they're going to select. Now, when we run the whole scheduler, they're not all going to work. So some, we're going to have to go back and go, okay, their next choice was marine biology. So let's try to get marine biology in there. So that's when we still need it on paper. They're going to bring it home and they're going to number off their choices from 1 through 10. And yes, sometimes we have to go all the way up to 10 for things to fit in a schedule. And then get your signature and bring it back. We'll have a way to notate if there's any changes that were made in that conversation at home so that we can get that fixed. I know that seems like, I feel like that seems ridiculously easy, but I think the important pieces of information are that all the information you need is going to be online. Your kid is going to actually choose electives here. Oh, by the way, I've not said a word about core classes. The core classes, we will actually just mass add. Because y'all know math has the whole, math teachers have their miraculous ways of figuring out where kids are going to go. So we just get a list and we do that. There's no need for kids to choose a science class because it's 7th grade science. So all those core classes we'll take care of. So all your kids are really choosing is the fun stuff, the electives. All the information's online. By the way, that stuff, that's going to be happening in classes.
And the reason that the online process makes it so much better for us, not necessarily for you guys or your kids, is that before we used to have to go in and hand enter everything off of the paper copies. So now that's going to save us a lot of people power.
See there? Good job, good job.
What are the core classes for, is it math and, for 7th grade, math and science and English?
And
social studies.
And social studies.
English, math, science, social studies. And then, so those are, for 7th grade, those are the only ones that we will take care of. You do have to take a semester of PE, but you have a choice between PE and dance. So that
Sure, my son will
choice.
sign up for dance.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. So you do PE just one semester, so there's one more left.
And they will have to choose language.
Right.
Yes.
That's something that is, yeah.
But is language elective as an elective?
It's, well, if you're in the magnet program, you have to take it. But which language is it? Yeah, I can't talk. Which one it is the choice part. So we can't, we're not gonna just.
Is it in the list of like
Robotics.
Spanish?
It's in a separate
It's
section.
separate.
Yeah, and that's one of the things on my to-do list, is to. Yes?
So the click, click, click part is happening without us, is that, or is it editable?
It is yes, ma'am.
We can go in and change it if, together, or?
I'm not positive about that answer yet.
So what would happen, for my child in particular,
Yes.
he will get very excited in class 1 when he hears about whatever elective, and he'll click, 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 and then he'll go to class, he needs to discuss before he can make his choices.
Well, and that's, here, let me, with that feedback, let me describe the timeline again
Okay.
with a little more detail. So there's a time span between, okay, well shoot. So from the 17th through the 20th, that's when departments are going to be publicizing their electives and classes. And the information's already online. so that if he comes home super excited about, whoa, I heard about robotics today, then y'all can go and look and talk through it together if you'd like. And then the actual click, click, click won't happen until the following week.
Okay.
So you've got an entire education week before the selection week. Yeah, did that make sense?
So without committing in advance to these dates, I know you probably don't know when they are, will parents get notice about when this is gonna happen? So we can, I mean, I won't, y'all will, publish your kids on it. I'm an 8th grader. But, so,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
So
they'll
the
get notice.
idea would be to like the weekend, the 21st and 22nd, but Saturday and Sunday, you actually sit down and be like, so what amazing classes did you hear about this weekend?
That'd be awesome.
What are the top 4? Because you're gonna have to select them. Let's write them down and give them to you. Put them in your pocket.
Awesome.
Okay. So then they don't select a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will we actually see what they clicked, or do we have to rely
Yes.
on them remembering what they clicked?
No, they're gonna come home with a sheet with them numbered in order. And so the top, however many they got to click, are the ones that they
Will
clicked.
be indicated somehow that they already clicked
You
those.
got it.
Okay.
So they're clicking at home or they're clicking at school?
They're clicking at school.
Okay.
I don't wanna,
But then you can go through and cross out and renumber on your quiz sheet.
right, yeah, it was, yes.
Me too.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
there one or two really cool new electives you wanna tell us about?
Oh, Lord.
Tinkering.
Oh, yeah, here, go for it.
Oh my gosh, tinkering is an elective that Mr. Schwa came up with, and he talked to Mr. Applegate, and I think Mr. Applegate's one who's gonna end up teaching it. But instead of just robotics, where you're very limited to that, it's gonna be a tinkering class, basic engineering, where they're just gonna build and take stuff apart and just, oh my gosh, they went to the computer conference last week, they got so excited, Applegate came in and was telling me, all right, we don't need to buy those kits, I can go to Home Depot and get this stuff, he is just thrilled with it. Yeah, so that's one of the new ones.
So, just to confirm about the math selection, that also involves parents. It involves a dialogue between the current math teacher and the parent about what's appropriate for your child. That happens later. And we will have a whole KMag meeting about that, at which
About just
the math
that.
teachers, about just that, in March. So all this choice sheet stuff happens, and don't worry about that while you're doing that, because all this will happen with your input in March.
Yeah, right. That gives our teachers that much more time to kind of have a solid feel for what their recommendation is. Yes, sir.
How do the PE waivers work? Do they register for PE and then later on change their schedule, or how does
Yes,
that
sir. Every kid has to choose PE.
work? Okay.
And then, once the applications are submitted before the deadline, then we actually get the approved list back from the district, usually about the first week of the semester. So as soon as our counselors get that list, they call the kids in, all right, it's approved, so now, instead of 4th period PE, let's choose an elective to replace it.
Okay.
So.
When do we actually get a schedule? Like, when will we know what classes they will have?
Yeah. So that'll be in August. Yes. Again, not set in stone. I'm not even throwing the date out there right now because it's that far away and not stone. But last year we had the days where people would come get their schedules on 3 different days, like a week or 2 before school started. We got a lot of pretty good feedback about that, and also came up with some ways to make it better. So we more than likely will do something very similar. Yeah.
We have a 7th grader, and I know last year in 6th grade, I found this whole language thing to be confusing, and because math was so well explained. So I know how my son talks about it, is he feels like you kind of lose an elective going from 6th to 7th grade, because one of your electives is now a language. So, yes, you get to choose it, but instead of having 2 really cool funky ones, you also have a language. The other piece is, you know, I know what he thought in sixth grade would be a cool language, but I was really looking for, well, what does it really mean to take Chinese versus German at this school? You know, I mean, truly, you know, we can talk longer term benefits as an adult later, you know, just what would be a better match for him? And so if there's any way we can get maybe a little more information for the parents on, you know, we know what the difference between the German language and the Chinese language is, but what does it mean here at Healing? You know, are there bigger classes, are there smaller classes? What, you know, is there more cultural study in one of the languages versus another? Something like that would be really helpful.
I like those specific questions. I can't write that fast.
Do they have to take a whole year of language, so they have to,
Yes.
those semesters?
2 years.
Well,
Yeah, so-
1 year at a time. And my son wants to take Japanese or Latin, so there you go.
Japanese
So-
is awesome.
If any of you
Prevalent languages.
are the parent of a sixth grader that's feeling that way, help them remember that they only have to have 1 semester of PE and they don't have SMEA. So boom, there's a year.
That's a good argument to have.
Now y'all all know that. I'm sorry, you didn't. Okay.
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors. I'm just kidding.
Ms. Carter, I learned some of the schools are cutting, high schools are cutting their language programs. So, balancing off of your question, if your kids are not going to LASA, has Keeling done any research, or do you know which languages are cut at the schools that our Keeling kids would go to, other than LASA? Like, for example, Bowie, I think they're down to Spanish and French now.
Wow.
And so it kind of makes a difference if you're taking German.
I think that one of the things we should do a better job of is to say, where do you anticipate your child going to high school? And you need to make your language choice based on that. We understand that Japanese is really cool, but if you end up at a high school that doesn't support Japanese, you're gonna be up a creek, right?
Right.
So I think we need to do a better job of that, and that is a very valid point.
Because it is, I mean, I only know this from friends
I know they have
anecdotally.
Japanese in Macau,
Yeah.
but not Bowie, yeah.
But there are schools that are cutting based on budget funding. So even big schools like Bowie. So
Well,
if it's happening in Bowie,
kind of
then
the first thing to go
yeah.
in the budget.
Well, and my question kind of is on the same vein. I should know this because I have a freshman, but I don't remember. Under the new graduation plans, whether 2 or 3 years of a foreign language are required. I know with Spanish, I went ahead and encouraged my 7th grader to take Spanish 1 so that she'll have 2 years in middle school, but I can't remember if a 3rd is required. And do any of the other languages offer a full year and a year, or are all the other languages split? So, and the reason we did that is because she wants to take every theater elective known to man, and so, you know, she'll have to take 4 years of math, even though she'll end up with probably 5 credits, but it just frees up another opportunity for her in high school to take, you know, Japanese theater instead of Japanese language or whatever. Is it 2 or 3? It's
Honestly,
I would have to look for sure.
I can't remember. Is it 3?
For a distinguished diploma, it's 3 years.
So regardless
Which
of,
was
even
true
if you
before
take
as well.
2 years here, you'll still have
You
that
still
3rd
need to
year.
take a year, which it will impact the high school choice. So we do need to make sure that we have a list, and we can easily compile that for parents and have that on our website. These are the current offerings at each high school for you. And all we can tell you is what's current.
Right.
Can you let us know when that goes up on the website so we can?
I'll ask
Put
my
that out.
secretary to put that together, and we should have it up for you by next week.
Yeah, or if Kendra can put it in the Hornet Herald or.
She'll put it in the Hornet Herald, and she'll put it
Great.
up on the website.
Great. But just, you know, she could just put a link in the Hornet Herald
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah. Announcement.
Will there be an option on the choice sheet if I have a 6th grader who is taking a language this year to choose the next class?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Sorry. I'm brain around that. Yes, ma'am. Oh.
I have a 6th grader, and I'm kind of wondering what he needs to finish out his 3 years at Keeling. So I understand he has to do 2 years of a language, then he has to do 1 year, or 1 semester of PE in 7th and 8th grade.
Yes,
What is the, I don't understand the fine arts. Has he already, if he took the fine arts in 6th grade, is he done? Or does he have to take that 7th and 8th grade also?
1 year at some point.
Just 1 year in middle school.
Okay, so if he's
So he
done one,
needs 2 semesters while he's in middle school.
okay, and that could be art or music or.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
What are the core courses for 8th grade?
8th grade, English, whichever math, science, and then US history.
So the same.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and then PE. It's not a core class, but PE or dance.
All foreign language. And the language.
Right, and a language. Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't think of it. Yes, ma'am.
Do the kids usually get the language of their choice, or do they get bumped to, okay, so that's not.
Most of the time. It is rare that wouldn't happen. And about the only time I've seen it even remotely be an issue is if they are in the top orchestra and they also want to take Spanish 2, which is only offered 1 period, which is the same period as, anyway, we try not to have that happen, but that's the only time it is remotely an issue.
Can I jump in just a minute? If you have a child that is fairly proficient in a language that he or she wants to take, you might want to talk to the teacher. I don't know if this is the case in other languages, but in Spanish there's a choice of whether you take Spanish 1 or Spanish 1A. And Spanish 1 is a much more accelerated class. So if your child speaks Spanish at home, you may want to speak to the teacher and see where he or she should be placed.
And actually, we're going to be, I got the course sequence yesterday at my meeting, we're going to be offering Spanish for native speakers year after next.
And that's a different class?
It will be a different class because they'll be able to take AP Spanish in 8th grade.
Okay,
The only other thing is the typing that we didn't have.
Oh,
brought
yeah.
up.
I'm sorry.
Keyboarding. I just thought I would bring that up because we're talking about all the things they have to do.
Yeah.
Or the test.
right,
Testing it.
exactly.
And at some point or another, and there's several different courses, I don't want to pretend for a second without looking at the piece of paper for sure which ones qualify. But at some point or another, they have to take something that satisfies the keyboarding requirement, and they're indicated on the choice sheet. Keyboarding is one of those possibilities, and I've told 5 million people, man, especially as much as we use computers today in every part of our life, oh my gosh, everybody should take a keyboarding class. And it's not like
Is that the one that teaches you how to type
typing.
with your thumbs?
You're funny. It's not just purely typing like when we were in school. But it's more than just that, but part of it is learning to correctly type. Yes, ma'am.
And giving myself away here, and I know this subject of keyboarding has come up time and again. I have a freshman who went through all 3 years of Keeling. She neither took a typing keyboarding course nor ever took a test, nor do I intend for her to ever do either of those unless forced, but no one's ever said a word about it. It's not on her graduation plan.
Guys.
Turn that off.
I know.
So are there any final, we have to wrap it up, but are there any final questions about choice sheets? Okay, those of y'all, well, there probably aren't any of y'all who were at the last meeting because there weren't very many people, but if you were at the last meeting, if you could look at the minutes real quickly. And I just wanted, while most of you are still here, shadowing is in desperate need of volunteers. And this is completely parent-run. If your kid shadowed, your kid benefited from this amazing amount of volunteer effort by parents. So, and they desperately need volunteers. Just come, if you drop your kid off in the morning, just come and stay for another 20 minutes and help, with shadowing. Same thing if you pick them up in the afternoon. And then if you do neither, if by any, means could make the effort to come in just for even one shift, it's a huge help, because it ends up that the people who are organizing it have to fill in these spaces, and they're just not gonna do it next year, because there's just too much work. So it's something that we all have to contribute to.
So what exactly are you asking for the parents to do when they come in?
Oh, you just sign in kids. I mean, it's really easy. It's half an hour work. The shadows come in, you check off who comes in, and, match them up with their hosts. And then in the afternoon, they come in, you check that they're in, you take them to the buses.
In the library.
Yeah.
And the sign up, the
Exactly.
volunteer sign up works really well. You can
It
see what
does.
states need slots and.
Yeah, and you get detailed instructions.
And
It's
can
really.
you sign just for the morning or just for the afternoon?
Absolutely, yeah. If everyone does one, we will be totally covered. So if everyone could make that effort.
And shadowing is this week, and it's not next week, it's like every other week,
It's only
right?
tomorrow this week, because they've had
Yeah.
testing.
But we have about 3 or 4,
it's Thursday,
at least
so.
3 more weeks of shadowing.
Well, I know, because my
total.
son's hosting tomorrow, but then the following
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, we don't do it on testing
On the
days.
sign up, you can see.
Yeah, you can see all the available dates.
But when
So
they
in-
say they need 4 slots in the morning, we really do need 4 slots in the morning.
Right.
We really need 2.
It's very
for each
hectic,
school.
yeah.
So if you go, oh, they got 3, they're good. Yeah, they really do need
No,
4.
they really do, yeah. So anyway, it's a big help, and thanks to everyone who has volunteered. It's really fun. It's really fun.
It's 20 minutes and it's fun.
It is.
fun.
It's really
It's
fun.
early, get a cup of coffee, get them to go.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
My favorite part in the afternoon is reading the evaluation sheets that the kids send about the school. They're almost always really good, they're almost always very complimentary about their house, which is very nice. Yes,
Okay, on the
Melissa.
minutes, we did not have enough for a quorum last time, so we're actually approving the December minutes also, which are on the tables. I didn't have
Okay,
as many
great.
copies of those, but they're around the room.
So can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I motion to approve those minutes.
Any second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of the minutes, any corrections? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, minutes are approved. All right, treasurer's report, Ken?
We have money. No, we're in the tail end of things. We don't have a lot of donations that are still coming in, but the matching is always a key thing that we're looking for, and one of the 2 checks that we did get since our last meeting is from the Dell Foundation for $1,600. So the matching thing, as parents, if you work for companies that have matching programs, it really does behoove you to go through that process of hooking that up to have them match, if not give more. So that's really it.
Okay, and how far are we on reaching our goal?
With that, we're at about 73% of our $35,000 goal for the year.
Okay, so if parents haven't made their donation?
How many, is that what you're
No, I said if they haven't, they should still make it.
If you haven't,
It's
you
not
should
like
still
we-
go ahead
yeah.
and make those. Gita also has a PayPal account that's set up, so if you want to use a credit card, you can do that, or just do it through PayPal itself. But if you if you don't have one of the sheets that we sent out with the information, we should be able to get, I don't know where we have that posted. but
They're on the KMag page.
on the KMag page, and just mail in a check, or if you want to write a check and hand it to me, we'll be happy to get it
Yeah.
taken care of for you.
And there are always really cool things that teachers want to do over the summer, professional development or other things that they want to do, and we, sometimes we run out of money and we say sorry. And it did happen last year. We did, we spent all our money, which we always try to do every year, or most of it. We like to get into the new year with a little bit of money. But, so we do have to say no. If you are intending to donate, please go ahead and do that. And you'll see that in the agenda, we've laid out some of our recent spending, talking about Miss Scott, who was the journalism teacher and photography who was honored by the national organization. So we've given her, this is out of our endowment fund, which was the $25,000 that we had, now that we've begun spending it down. It was supposed to be an endowment, but it really wasn't ever enough to kick off money. We decided to go ahead and spend it. And technology is the way that the administration and the teachers have decided that they want to spend it. So we started that off with new computers for yearbook. They were limping along horribly. And that'll benefit yearbook photography and the literary magazine, hundreds of kids. And the great part about that donation, about that expenditure, is that they need fancy computers, but the ones that they were using are perfectly adequate. They're not adequate for their needs, but they're perfectly adequate for word processing. And those computers will go to classrooms that need it, that don't have any computers or don't have enough computers. So that's a great win-win situation. We're happy to give that money. You know, there's always a need for more. We didn't completely fulfill her request because there are other requests coming in from teachers, and we want to make sure that we're equitable in our donations. So we also have spent almost $5,000 for document cameras and projectors for teachers who needed them. That was a big request, a big desire, and so those have been purchased. Are they here yet?
Here's one of the projectors right here. It's a little dusty, so it's been here for.
So that these are
a major dinosaur.
Yeah. So these are things that teachers use every day. This is nothing, you know, fancy. This is basic technology needs that we're funding with this. And then our other expenditures are kind of the things that we do every year. We fund a 6th grade sound party where the kids, you know, have made their instruments and they have a huge party. This amazing musical group comes that has all kinds of homemade percussion and other wind instruments, and they play, and the kids get to, you know, go and touch the instruments, check them out, try them out, and it's amazing. And then we have some other, you know, kind of basic expenses as well. Any questions about any of that?
And I can jump in there and let you know that almost everything we have in this school is end of life. Technology-wise, except me, right? But the technology truly is end of life. I don't know where the district is with the technology plan and getting that money that was voted in the bond out. I did just get an allocation, $3,500.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah. I was sitting there going, how many end-of-life computers is that going to get us through? But it's a serious concern we have, and I have 2 more teachers that came to me that their projectors are dead, and we can't even, there's nothing that even supports the brand of projector they had, so.
We have
Right.
the same thing happen with our projectors at my work. You just have to go get new ones, it's crazy.
Yeah.
At the library, instead of replacing projectors, they're giving us big screens because they feel that in the long run that is cheaper. The bulbs and the projectors usually pass them out in their life. So
There's a new bulbless projector. Saw that at TCEA last week at the technology conference. You only have to run through the projector and the cost of one bulb and it pays for itself. I don't know. It's just something new out there.
Right, so we will quickly go through this,
Yes.
our endowment fund, and, you know, the intent was to spend it to benefit kids now, and so that's what we're gonna do, but with technology, it's gonna go quickly. So, that's all we have to say on money. A PTA report?
Sure, I'll
Kristen?
talk about money too. So equity is a big issue right now for the district. You've probably seen the reports by Texas Civil Rights Project, and a big thing that they're looking at is the amount of money schools get from private sources such as PTA and private donations. Some schools get a tremendous amount, some schools don't get much at all. And so one thing we're really proud of here at Keeling is that our PTA is able to provide funding to the whole school. So we just voted on a round of teacher grants similar to KMag's, which is awesome that we can work together and support different needs. We've provided some support for SCORE students, those are students on the autism spectrum, to take a learning trip. We're providing some support so that all 7th grade academy students can go on a learning trip to the Guadalupe River State Park. We're providing support for Ms. Scott and Ms. Wagner to go to this journalism conference to collect their award and also to learn things and bring back to Keeling. We are providing some support to our AVID program, which is, I believe, all academy students, but it's sort of a college preparation program. We're providing support for orchestra scholarships for students who cannot afford to go on the big orchestra trip. The two things that I'm most excited about that we were able to do is provide some iPod touches for one of the academy technology teachers. I think what's awesome about Mrs. Lowe and Ms. Carter and Ms. Bailey is the way they've worked together so that the level of rigor in the academy program is inspired by and is approaching, the magnet program. So the technology teacher noticed what the robotics students were able to do and has requested similar technology to offer to academy students. Also, KMag provided such awesome support for Ms. Hill to become pretty much the district pioneer in flipped learning. And now we have a brand new academy teacher in 7th grade who wants to do flipped instruction with her academy students. These students don't have the same access to technology at home, so she's requested some iPad minis for her classroom, which we've been able to fund so that she can implement flipped instruction on the academy side. So we're super excited about that. And then there's just a few dates coming up. April 11th is our big Healing Center stage, which allows us to raise most of the money that we can then give to teachers. We're hoping to do a school-wide birthday celebration for Dr. Keeling, for whom our school was named, on April 1st. That's his birthday. I want to say like 1859 or a long time ago. And then May 2nd is going to be the second annual school-wide picnic. So, and we're also in the process of putting together our nominating committee, and so if anyone is interested in serving on the board next year, you can talk to me about it, or Ms. Gonzalez, I'll throw you under the bus, but talk to her too. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kristen. KMag is also looking for great people for next year. So if you're interested in a position on the board, we have 1 year and 2 year positions. So give Melissa or me a call or an email. Anything else? All right, well, we're adjourned. Thanks so much for coming.